Hello, my name is Madelon Reddy. I go to DePaul University. My internship site this year is Riverside Brookfield High School. I did my Closing the Gap project with a group called Why Try. It's a counseling group aimed at helping junior and senior students become motivated to succeed. The purpose of the Why Try group was basically to help juniors and seniors identify what's keeping them from reaching their full potential. We help them learn strategies to increase productivity, write smarter goals, create better decision-making strategies, and recognizing support systems that they have. And the group was formed after small team meetings, and counselors would bring up students who they really felt lacked motivation, and they would refer students based on data in Skyward with which showed attendance issues and missing assignments and poor grades and behavior issues. This slide shows some school data and RB's demographic information, which you can take a look at, but I'm going to highlight the Why Try group data. Again, students' names were given by counselor referral. We ended up picking 12 of those students, and they were selected based on attendance, behavior, academics, or social emotional need. There were 8 juniors and 4 seniors, with a combined total of 10 behavioral issues noted in Skyward. This slide gives 3 graphs. The first one is the number of attendance issues for the 12 students involved. The second one is the number of missing assignments they have for the school year. And the third one is the number of D's and F's that they have. So for the intervention put in place for the Why Try group, the ADAPT model was utilized, and ADAPT stands for Advanced Decision Making and Problem Solving for Teens. It was used in hopes to help students better their decision-making skills in order to better their grades, attendance, or disciplinary issues. So briefly going over what each week would look like or did look like. The first session was an introduction, creating and going over group rules and confidentiality, and playing a get to know you game in order to make the students feel comfortable. In the second session, going over problem behavior and mapping alternative behaviors to identify what's holding them back. In the third session, how do I solve problems and problem solving skills. To continue, during the fourth week, we'd go over smarter goals and writing them, as well as motivation. For the fifth week, we'd work on managing emotions. And in the sixth week and final week, we'd look back at those smarter goals, identify support systems moving forward, and doing termination of the group. So the pretest was taken by 9 out of the 12 students in the group, and it was comprised of 18 questions. Students were given skills or competencies to rate themselves on a scale of 1 to 5, from not like me at all to very like me. And so, for example, below we have the self-regulation skill. They were asked in quotes, making a plan, monitoring that plan, making changes to stay on track, and reflecting on what worked, end quote. So they had to rate themselves on how like them or how likely they are to do that. So as you can see in the results on the graph, most of the responses were ranking themselves low, most of them being not very like me or neutral, which verifies the lack of motivation. Two other skills that the students had to answer to that I want to go over the answers quickly were conflict management. The relatively high ratings or neutral ratings by students in dealing with conflict is seemingly contrary to the disciplinary issues they present. And communication, the high ratings of somewhat like me or higher, shows confidence in the student's ability to get information across. Yet the group was somewhat formed to work on communicating what they need in order to succeed. The last two questions that I would like to highlight and the responses by students were empathy, and the high rating of very like me shows potential in navigating emotions related to outside circumstances and motivation, and goal setting. The surprisingly higher rating shows students have their confidence in identifying goals despite seemingly having a hard time holding themselves to them. So the results and the outcome data that I gathered was limited due to the fact that we were only able to hold 3 out of the 6 group sessions due to the school closing because of COVID-19. So during those 3 weeks, though, that we did have the group sessions, the students who participated continue to have an increase in attendance issues, missing assignments, and declining grades. No post tests were submitted due to the stay at home order and a lack of responses. And because of this, I do want to point out there is a lack of data regarding the effectiveness of this intervention. If I could have, what I could have gathered if we had finished all the sessions were students' responses to the post tests, all grades of the participating students at the end of the 6 weeks or during the fourth quarter, the number of students missing assignments, the number of attendance issues, and their number of disciplinary infractions. Some recommendations that I have going forward or that I would have utilized are having incentives for attending the group session, such as candy or food. Let students know in advance when sessions will be held so they can prepare. Make sure expectations and rules for the group are clear and understood by all participants. Plan a 5-minute break halfway through each session to help minimize interruptions, give students time to refocus, and to use the restroom if needed. Do a quick review or wrap up after each session and a preview of the upcoming session. Consider recommendations from students on what they would like to see in the sessions or what they would like to work on. And lastly, follow up with students after group is completed one-on-one in order to see how they are doing and hold them accountable for what was worked on and their goals. The next 5 slides are my bibliography and the sources that I use to help create and validify my intervention. I included quotes from each source and how that aligned with each session that I put into place. You can go ahead and go through those sources at your own pace. Thank you so much for tagging along, and always remember that school counselors can change the world.